Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a review for the most recently released trade for the Walking Dead comic book series. This one is volume 26. This is for Call to Arms. And big time spoiler warning if you guys have not read these issues. This collects issues 151 to 156, so this is pretty close to where we're at in the comic book series right now, with us being at issue 159, was just released, and the Whisper War. So this one is a pretty big one. This is kind of the march to war for the Whisper War. This is Call to Arms, volume 26. So we see on the cover here, we got Dwight and the others, the joint community, getting ready to go to war. The first part of it is we have them all training. Alexandria, Rick, and the others decide to put together a joint military, which is cool. It's something that they've never really had before, which is a specific set of people that are the fighters for the community, and their job is pretty much going to be to go after them. I mean, you have people back at Alexandria and that are going to be taking care of everything else, but you do families and all that, but you do have the military that's going to be going out and fighting against the Whisperers. You've got some really cool defenses they built here. You've got like a moat. You've got some anti-tank weapons and this kind of stuff. Granted, none of that will really matter against well, I guess maybe it could help a little bit against the Whisperers, at least to break up the zombie herd and maybe have a lot of them fall in, and anti-tank isn't really necessary against them. But who knows, maybe in the future it could come into play. We've got sort of the aftermath of the Betrayed storyline with Vincent and Brandon. So we've got Negan, of course, being imprisoned at the start of this. And Brandon, because of course what happened with his dad and everything, and Rick, he frees Negan. So that one, I mean, we kind of expected that to happen. We kind of expected Negan to get free at some point. Otherwise, what would Kirkman use him for in the story, and why would he be kept alive? I'm really glad Kirkman did decide to keep Negan alive, and that he does actually escape with the help of Brandon here. And then, as expected, he does end up killing Brandon later on. Got the Silence of the Whisperers, this kind of stuff, which is pretty cool. They go after him. Of course, they're not able to get him back. They're not able to get Brandon because he's dead, of course, and they're not able to capture Negan. But there are some awesome twists at the end of this, I want to say, that were very, very hard to predict. There was a few people that did think, major spoiler warning, that Alpha would be killed by Negan once we saw the cover. But the majority of us thought, like, okay, Alpha has been in the story for a little while. She's the leader of the Whisperers. She's a huge character. Do we think we're going to see Negan kill her off yet? No. So I want to say that was a pretty big twist, that he did end up killing her and that he was not in love with her. Even though at a part it seemed like Negan might be in love at first sight with Alpha. No, it turns out he isn't. And then the other thing I think is a pretty interesting kind of twist for the end of this arc, or this trade, is that he actually is loyal to Rick and the group. Even though they imprisoned him, he takes the head of Alpha and he returns it to Rick and the joint communities and the survivors, which I also thought was interesting, because you might think that Negan, being a leader of a group and wanting to get revenge on Rick possibly, might try and take over the Whispers. We've got the introduction of Beta in this trade. And at first when I saw him, I didn't think much of him. But then afterwards, it's like, holy cow, okay, he's really going to be used a lot in the story. So that's another thing that's really cool. Let's see, we have a very exciting part where you have Michonne and the others to go after them, and then you get a pretty awesome fight sequence where you have Beta right there, you got Michonne, you've got Aaron, and they're getting surrounded, and they do end up, I'll say losing this fight, or at least getting the worst of it. To our surprise, Aaron does survive, but it's definitely pretty brutal, and they do in turn get saved. I still love this part where you have Alpha here and you have Negan, and I'm in love. I love that one right there from Negan. That's great. So one of the benefits of this one is, if you like Negan, this trade is awesome, because he's got all kinds of awesome stuff in it. He's really a core character. And Rick almost takes a back seat in this one. I mean, not entirely, but he's not in the majority of the fights and stuff. He's not in any of the fights and everything. So you've got Michonne against Beta, and oh man, it's really, really crazy. And then Michonne and Aaron are saved by Dwight and the others with the firearms, of course. We've got some awesome banter and different stuff that happens between Negan, some really funny, hilarious lines and stuff. I'm hoping you find me panty-drenchingly rugged as fuck handsome. Like, get me another skin suit. I'm soaking through this one handsome. So there's some really funny lines with Negan and Alpha, and then Beta is like ready to kill Negan, and isn't Beta like Kane in the Kane in the zombie apocalypse? That's the way I see him anyway. It's just like this monster of a man, because he's like what? I think he's over 300 pounds, or at least Is Kane over 300? I think he's over, or at least one of those big guys in WWE. Some of them are over 300, some of them aren't, but they're like close to 7 feet tall. They're like 6'7" and shit. It's like, oh my God, just monsters of men, like absolute freak show monsters. Guys like The Undertaker and stuff is crazy. So really cool. Here's a good one of Beta. I like this art right here. And we got Dwight. This was an act of war. So Dwight does step it up as well too in this one, and kind of taking over because Rick is too old now and his body is too thrashed to be fighting wars and stuff. He can fight in the background. He can do the Professor X thing, but Cyclops on the battlefield is Dwight going forward. We've got Negan living with the Whisperers, which is really, really cool, and kind of earning his skin. And let's see, we've got the major twist, leading up to the end, which is the best, where you think that Negan and Alpha are going to hook up or something's going to go on this way, and Negan, man, he does it, man. He does it. He kills Alpha, and he takes the head, and he smiles while he does it. Wait until Rick gets a look at you. And this one, for me, is one of the craziest. I mean, this is one of the most brutal and craziest pages. These last two. Damn, Negan is involved in some brutal shit in The Walking Dead. Of course, with the big death coming up real soon in the TV series, but of issue 100. But, man, I mean, it's a pretty big... Honestly, that's a pretty big twist to see him kill her there. Because you think, like, with Alpha, she's got to be used longer, right? She's got to be in the series longer. And it's it's almost like a double, because first the twist is that Negan doesn't really care to get revenge on Rick. He actually likes Rick, which we never really knew up until this point that was true. And... so he goes in, he risks his own life and risks his own skin to go in and redeem himself to Rick and the others, and takes out the leader and brings the head back to the others. And then, of course, just recently has been fighting against Beta and stuff like that in the comic book series as well, too. So, man, really awesome stuff for Negan. And this one, for me, is part of what made, like, for example, I bought this Negan bust right here. It was cheap, but no big deal. But... this is what, for me, this one and afterwards coming up now, has what is really cemented for me Negan becoming one of my absolute favorite characters in The Walking Dead. I liked him as a bad guy. He was really fun, that way. And even now, too, in the comic books, as he's kind of becoming, he's still a bad guy, but he's a bad guy who could be on the right side and could be controlled, like a force of nature, so to speak. And you need guys like that. For example, you could have somebody like Merle. Merle could be a bad guy, but if he's on the right side and he's controlled, he could be an asset to a group, like the prison group when, of course, they go against the governor and he kills a whole bunch of the governor's people all at once. They can be an asset in times of war and things like this. So, man, I really love this trade, as I love every trade of The Walking Dead. This 6 issues are great. They lead up to the Whisperer War, which I really think is probably going to go down. Of course, I'll do my review when the trade is released next year, 2017. But I really think that the Whisperer War might be the best part of The Walking Dead ever, that's ever been released. And I'm not just saying that because it's new. I actually feel like it's probably the hottest, the best. In terms of enjoyment anyway, I've enjoyed reading it more. It's even better than this one. This is the lead up to it. And the others as well before. So in terms of score for this trade, this part of The Walking Dead, Call to Arms, some very unexpected events happen at the end, some nice twists in that, kind of like a double for Negan. And I'm going to say that I'm going to give this one a 9.6 out of 10. I mean, it's incredible. It really is, especially compared to all the other comic books out there that I read that really, I mean, Kirkman's doing a damn job for sure. And Charlie Adler's artwork is always incredible too. So, next one will be for the Whisperer War when that one eventually gets released. So can't wait for that. And yeah, man, guys, check out the playlist. I got a playlist full of every trade of the Walking Dead comic book series released so far. So if you want to hear my thoughts on some of the others, they're in the playlist. Check it out. It's in the channel. I'll put the link in the description. I'll add this one to the playlist. And yeah, I'll be reviewing every issue of the Walking Dead comic book series until it eventually does, unfortunately, come to an end, or I die first. Who knows? Hopefully it's death, because I don't want The Walking Dead to ever end, man. So incredible. So write your comments below. What did you guys think about some of the big twists in Call to Arms? What did you think about what Kirkman did with Negan in this one? How does it make you feel about Negan if you've read it? And you know, just all the unexpected events that happened in this one. It's crazy, man. Especially the death of Alpha. That one was totally unforeseen, I want to say, by pretty much anybody. So yeah, if you guys like this video, please thumb it up below. If you guys have a Facebook, you want to share it through, I'd appreciate it. If you want to, share through to with your friends and that kind of stuff is always good. And if you want to subscribe, you can subscribe at the bottom left for more reviews in the future for the Walking Dead comic book series, as well as, of course, TV series, all the usual stuff. That's it for this one. See you guys again soon. As always, it's Trev. I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.
You better subscribe.